This video is to walk you through the process of unpacking your standards for the purpose of backwards design. When we say backwards design, we mean that we are creating the assessment for a unit before we actually begin the teaching of that unit. The benefit of doing this is to make sure that you are assessing at the depth and rigor that the standard is meant to reach, and that then your teaching is in line with that assessment. So I'm going to start by opening a tab and just pulling up the TEKS from the TEA website. So I usually just type in math TEKS, and the first link that comes up, we're going to go to elementary. All right, so I'm going to scroll down from kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Now we get to third grade. So first set of TEKS is the process TEKS. These TEKS are meant to apply to any other TEK. We then have our place value TEKS, our fraction TEKS, and then we get into numbers and operation. I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to look at this multiplication TEK, 3.4e. I'm just going to copy that over into this document. So here's my whole TEK. I'm going to add, that is 3.4. Okay. So now that I've got my standard exactly as it's written by the state, I'm going to break it up into these three middle categories: the verb, the content, and the context. And then once we have those three sections filled out, we'll be able to look at how many ways this particular standard could be tested. In other words, how many ways do you need to teach it or expose your children to the standard? So first, the verb is to represent. So in this particular situation, we are not calculating, we are representing. Usually that means pictorially or with an equation, and we will get down to the content and the context of that later in the standard. So, but our verb is represent. What are we representing? What's the content that we're representing? We are representing multiplication facts. Paste that over to that middle column. So we're representing multiplication facts. This particular standard only deals with multiplication facts. It does not deal with division facts. It does not deal with addition or subtraction facts. This particular standard is only for multiplication facts. Now, how are they supposed to represent the multiplication facts? How are the students, in what context do the students represent the multiplication facts? It says a variety of approaches such as repeated addition, equal size groups, arrays, area models, equal jumps on a number line, and skip counting. That is all the context. So what does that mean? It means that your students need to be exposed to and could possibly be tested on representing multiplication facts using repeated addition, using equal size groups, using arrays, using area models, using equal jumps on a number line, and using skip counting. So if we make this a nice numbered list, okay, repeated addition, equal size groups, arrays, area models, equal jumps on a number line, and skip counting. So there are 6 different ways that your students need to interact with this standard. And there are 6 different ways, therefore, to test this standard. So when we're looking at an assessment on this particular standard, we need to make sure there's a question that uses repeated addition. There's a separate question that looks at equal groups, a separate question for an array, a separate question for an area model, another question for equal jumps on a number line, and finally a question regarding skip counting. So this is one example of how to unpack your TEK for your backwards design.